Look, I'm at 450. I can see him clear as day. Probably should have him right about the first mark, a little bit below that. But I've beaten my record like 5 times just by picking these guys off because they're in the middle of nowhere. There's not much cover except the crash plane, the helicopter, and the Jeep.
Yeah.
The helicopter or Jeep, the leader takes off with the second you start firing at them.
Yeah.
So they don't have any cover by that time. But by that time you already picked off somebody, and probably somebody else also.
Have you heard them banging on this wall lately, Joe?
No.
You haven't in the last couple of days?
No.
Going. The reason I asked is because Mike could tell me how the girl next door over here, next up, I shouldn't say next door, but how they messed up when they put her cabinet in. I shouldn't say cabinet, I should closet. You know it right into the sheetrock. So when she put stuff on her closet, the whole closet.
Pretty clean.
If the cartel can hide this much coke this well, you can bet they can move it pretty fast too.
And since we blew those smaller caches, they know we're coming for the big cache. But we're talking tons and tons of coke. It's hard to move tons and tons of anything very quickly, let alone mountains of cocaine.
If there's one thing we know about the cartel, there's almost nothing they can't do with cocaine. If they want to move a mountain of coke without anybody seeing it, they'll figure out a way. We've got to track this cache down fast.
Look, the hornet's nest. The lieutenant is escaping.
Damn it, fucker.
Oh!